Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one's going to be for volume 30 of the manga, which is called Puppet Masters. So, really nice cover once again, and I think this is the big thing I was excited for getting into these kind of single edition volumes for the rest of the series. Different covers that represent what goes on in each of the volumes, and Sakura being the main character on the front here is super fitting. Chiyo and then Naruto is involved a decent amount, and you kind of have to have him on because he's the main character. But I really appreciate them giving Sakura this kind of volume cover, and it's really fitting because she definitely is the best character in this volume, so it's very fitting. Not sure exactly what they were going for with the little back image there. I suppose it's just meant to be something. But yeah, we cover another 9 chapters, 263 to 271. Rage, Sasori's masterpiece, Granny Chiyo and Sakura. Sasori revealed, fierce determination, puppet masters, what can I do, miscalculation and unknown power. So yeah, really good volume. A lot of it is like focused almost exclusively on the Granny Chiyo and Sakura versus Sasori fight. We got a little bit on what's going on with Naruto and Kakashi versus Deidara, and then we cut away at certain moments to stuff like what's going on back in the Sand Village to kind of give us some context to some of the story. And really, that's about it. The focus absolutely on the puppet fight, and it's so well done, as I'll get into. I think it's probably one of my favorite kind of early Shippuden era fights because it's just one, Sakura getting to be really heavily involved in the fight like this and being awesome. Chiyo is really cool, and then another really cool puppet fight. Like, we've seen puppets used before a little bit, but actually seeing them just full on amazing, two like perfect puppet masters up against each other, and then Sakura's strength as the kind of new kind of factor in the fight. It makes it so interesting because it's this idea that there's so many tricks involved with the puppets because that's the kind of style that they use. Chiyo reveals a lot of stuff. Sasori has so many like secret things, and like the real Sasori is hidden within inside something, and he has all these kind of extra puppets. It's really impressive, and we still haven't finished the fight yet, and there's still more reveals to come. But yeah, definitely I think one of my favorite fights, and it comes across really well in the manga as well. The kind of build of the fight, with Chiyo being very experienced and knowing what to do in this fight, but lacking just because she's so older, and having to rely a little bit on Sakura, and then Sakura just lacking the experience and not really, I suppose, knowing how to kind of handle herself in a big fight like this, and just the two of them working so well together to counter someone who's basically described in this volume as one of the more powerful members of the Akatsuki. Like, Deidara admits Sasori is a bit stronger than him, so really kind of big thing here that just Sakura is getting the in-battle feel experience that she needs and is kind of thriving in that scenario. So goes back to, she has the cover, and it's worthwhile, absolutely. So yeah, we start off where we left off, basically with them just about to enter into the kind of cave system where the Akatsuki have just finished extracting the Shukaku from Gaara. They quickly just explain that the way it's sealed is that basically there are 5 seals scattered all over the place. They have to get rid of them before they can even attempt to open it. So Team Guy goes off and does that. Sakura punches open the giant boulder that's blocking the way, and like in her first big moment of the volume, like, just she was going to be the one to do it. She just cracks it wide open, and they kind of head straight in, and they basically set up this other fight as well, that where Team Guy have just taken off all of the seals. Basically, somewhere near them something begins to like form, and it's basically we cut back to it a little bit later on, and it's just revealed that basically they're all going to be fighting doubles of each other. They're using the same jutsu, they basically seem the same power levels, and it's this kind of defense mechanism to kind of hold off people who have just taken off the seals. It's interesting, but obviously we don't focus on it really at all over the course of this volume. But anyway, they all walk in and they're confronted by basically Sasori and Deidara, who are there physically, and the rest of them are obviously leave at this point, so they don't reveal the whole organization to everyone. And the immediate confrontation is obviously Sasori and Granny Chiyo, and that she's his grandmother. And after that, it's immediately, Gaara is on the ground, looks dead, and we basically get it confirmed. And the way Deidara and Sasori kind of taunt Naruto about this, where Naruto just can't believe it. He says, Gaara, get up, and everyone knows that he's dead. Sakura is sad, Chiyo and Kakashi's just like, what's just happened. And it's really highlighted by the fact that Deidara is kind of sitting on Gaara's dead body, and Naruto just goes full anger mode. Not quite Nine Tails, but you can tell he's incredibly angry. And this is what we had set up in, I think, the previous volume. Just before they left the village, basically, Jiraiya warned Naruto about, don't let yourself get too heated in these situations. Think and don't just let your anger take over in these things. So this is definitely like some early Shippuden development for Naruto, not to kind of be just overcome by his emotions during these kind of big situations. But basically Deidara decides that he's already basically defeated a Jinchuriki today with Gaara. He's going to take out another, so he runs off with Gaara's body, knowing that Naruto's going to follow him, and he can separate the groups from each other, so it's not just a kind of like 2-on-10 fight or something like that. So Naruto immediately runs after Deidara, flying on his kind of clay bird thing. Kakashi follows because obviously he has to keep an eye on Naruto because he knows he's kind of prone to going a bit haywire. And basically they're just left in this situation where Chiyo and Sakura are going to handle Sasori. And so it's really interesting setups as we get here, in that Sakura is very confident staying there, and Chiyo is very much going to have to rely on Sakura here as well. So really cool setup as we immediately start the fights. Definitely, I appreciate the pacing a lot more on the fight here. At times in like part 1 and some of the other fights, they tend to pace them quite poorly when you have multiple fights going on at the same time, whether that be kind of completely cutting back and forth between them and giving you a bit of this, a bit of that, and just none of the fights feel like they flow all that well. This one feels a lot better because one of them is actually just a pursuit, basically. Deidara is flying and drawing Naruto and Kakashi away, and it's only like minor, like actually bits of fighting that happen during those sequences. It's mainly just getting across how Naruto is so obsessed with getting Gaara back that he's not thinking clearly enough, and Kakashi is trying to focus him, and by the end they kind of are a little bit focused. Kakashi has a plan, and it's going to be a way to basically try and take out Deidara with long range combat, and Naruto is going to have to back Kakashi up. Whereas most of the volumes from here on out is just the Chiyo Sakura versus Sasori fight, and it works so well because you only occasionally move away from it. When there's a natural break point in the fight, you break away from it one time in the middle of something, but you come back having got context from that previous scene, so it works quite well. So we get that Sasori, what we have seen physically of Sasori is not actually him. That is just a puppet that he is in. They specifically say that he's inside this puppet, and as much as Chiyo knows this puppet, Hiroka, I think they call it, Hiruko, she knows this puppet, but it has extra modifications in that it's got this kind of shield thing on its back that makes it stronger, and this new arm thing that's going on here. And we basically get, like we got before, that the whole thing with Sasori initially in the fight is that he's very much focused on poison, just spraying poison needles and gas all over the place to try and take people out in that way. And we basically have this kind of situation there where Chiyo knows that she's the experienced one here, and that Sakura is skilled but has very little experience taking on such skilled opponents. Like, let's not forget, at the end of part 1, as much as she's done training with Tsunade, she wasn't really involved in a lot of the key battles, whereas Naruto has been. He's fought Kabuto a little bit. He's obviously had a huge fight with Sasuke, whereas Sakura's most impressive fight up to now has been her battle against Ino, and that was more of a kind of, it wasn't a full-on, battle to the death fight like this is. So the only thing Sakura's really missing here, given how skilled she is her lack of experience. And they just come up with this plan that basically the way they're going to get around this is that I know the timing of his moves, and I'm so experienced. So I will actually use you as my puppet. I will help you to dodge by using my puppet strings on you. And so it's this really interesting sequence where like Sasori is just kind of shocked after his initial barrage of attacks. How on earth did this new girl who's super young dodge all these attacks? And then he quickly figures out that, oh, like you're controlling her with puppets as well. So it works really nicely as they managed to get the better of this Haruko puppet with Sakura delivering a like super impressive smash attack. What's the attack called? She uses Cherry Blossom Crash or Crush, and she just completely destroys it. And there's a lot of really cool moments like this for Sakura in this volume, where you just see her delivering a crazy powerful punch. And again, it's moments like this that really highlight the complete change in her character with regards to her skill set. In part 1, the whole thing with her, remember back in the tuning exam, when they finished it, Iruka said, qualities of heaven are what you lack, train your mind, and stuff like that. Sakura was the opposite. She had the qualities of heaven, the mind, but he said you did lack the qualities of earth, the physical aspects. And it's interesting to see her now be effectively the physically strongest member of the kind of group that she has, the rookies basically that we're following here, and have her have such good stamina in this fight, be able to stick in despite all the injuries and damage she takes during this fight. It's a complete turnaround. Like, it just really highlights that she was aware of her weaknesses from part 1, that everyone obviously called her a little bit useless, and she's completely developed past that, more or less. But yeah, after that we basically get set up as we return to the Sand Village, and they're thinking we need to elect another Kazekage. Gaara, a lot of people didn't agree with his appointment in the first place. I know a lot of the young people agree with him, but none of us here really think too highly of him. Kankuro gets very annoyed, but we just get this idea that, a similar situation happened before with the third Kazekage, who was kidnapped at some point and kind of never returned, and there's a kind of mystery surround, like, what's up with the third Kazekage. And it's really interestingly done because they then catch up, and you see that Sasori's next course of action is basically to use a human puppet of the third Kazekage to fight with. And they've already set up that the third Kazekage was basically the most powerful Kazekage because of his special techniques. The other notable thing is just Sasori is revealed to look like this. Very, very young. Basically the way Chiyo last remembers him, like he just hasn't aged at all. And it's just this mystery that's not really revealed until the very end of this volume, and it's really interestingly done how they kind of subtly begin to incorporate this stuff into the fight. But Granny Chiyo mentions here, really interesting actually, just for like context, that Sasori has actually now been involved to some degree in the death of 3 Kazekages. He obviously has done something and transformed the third Kazekage into a human puppet. He was somehow involved in in terms of helping Orochimaru to take out Gaara's father, the fourth Kazekage, and has now obviously helped with the capture of the fifth Kazekage, Gaara, and he's now dead. So really kind of terrible stuff there. He does mention, though, I wasn't involved with the fourth, that was one of my agents, but yeah, Orochimaru and the Akatsuki go way back. Big moment for Sakura. Suddenly she's gone from being just, okay, enemy I need to fight, to being personally invested in this fight and getting something out of Sasori. In that you see this change, in her, and really amazing art on this panel at the bottom here. You know, you worked with Orochimaru. She knows the connection between Orochimaru and Sasuke, and that she has to get information about Orochimaru to get to Sasuke. So that's what she's looking for out of this fight. But yeah, really cool stuff as we get obviously the third Kazekage fighting, and big moment actually as well, because Sakura ends up getting kind of trapped by one of the attacks, and she manages to get herself out by basically using an explosive tag and blowing herself up effectively. And it's just this amazing moment that once again just highlights how different is this character from before. She is so much tougher physically and mentally stronger than she was in the first part. That is incredible development over the course of the time skip. And just, you know, lines like, you can blow my limbs off, you can poison me until I can't stand, and I'll still get you. Just really, really nice stuff, as Chiyo uses her next technique, which is summoning two puppets, the mother and the father, which through small flashbacks, only like 1 or 2 panels on a page, we basically get this story of like, something happened to Sasori's mother and father, and whatever happened to them had a really bad effect on him, and he somehow replaced them with puppets, but over time he really felt like it wasn't really doing anything, because you get this moment of him doing this kind of puppet move where he kind of has the puppets of his mother and father kind of hug him, but it doesn't have the same effect as like a real life hug. And you know, obviously I think the flashback is coming, but again, I don't know if they're going to do the flashback in the same way that the anime does it. Like, the anime could, of course, have just do an extended flashback, but I assume just before the fight comes to an end in the next volume, we will get the full flashback of what happened here. But yeah, in counter to this, we get the reveal of what exactly the third Kazekage's special power was, which is obviously the Kekkei Genkai magnet release, I believe it is, which is basically the ability to manipulate kind of metals with magnetism. And it works as basically Gaara uses sand, and the third Kazekage basically used iron filings in the same way as like metal sand, so it's like the kind of next level of that similar type of technique. We get Satetsu, the iron sand, and this sand is poisoned, and it can just do these crazy attacks because, of course, the way he can construct these human puppets is that they keep their Kekkei Genkai, because it's a puppet based off the body, and we know from stuff like the Sharingan being able to transfer that the Kekkei Genkai is based in the body of the person as opposed to just like their spirit or anything like that. So this does make logical sense that you can like take over someone's body in a puppet and still have their special technique work. So pretty nice explanation there. But yeah, we just get that he's getting the advantage with this because it's just so powerful, you know, a Kekkei Genkai. Another nice reveal actually is that Chiyo blocks an attack using her arm as it opens up, and then she basically throws her arm off, revealing that she lost an arm and replaced it with a puppet bit. And it's just this kind of setup for like the really high level hardcore puppet masters. When they like lose parts of their body or anything like that, they replace themselves with puppets because they're so into it. And it's just this idea of the impact that Chiyo as a puppet master had on Sasori growing up, and you get moments like her seeing, I suppose, stuff like that, and perhaps not seeing the issue here, that she obviously looked after him after whatever happened to his parents, and wasn't aware that she wasn't giving him enough care, that he had these puppets and she couldn't quite see what the problem was. So I'm interested to get to that flashback to see how the manga actually approaches it, because it's a really good moment. But yeah, they then begin to basically... It's basically a one-on-one fight at this point between Chiyo and Sasori. Sakura kind of takes a back seat because she's just kind of temporarily like overwhelmed by just how experienced these two are, these experts going at it with super fast puppet jutsu. But then she steps up as like Chiyo's getting overwhelmed and basically says, I have to do something, you know, I can't let Naruto and like down, I have to be involved here. And she basically just says, use me as a puppet. You don't have anything else to fight with, use me. And Chiyo agrees to it, and it's really impressive as Sakura just begins to like basically punched this huge block of iron filings around the place, and it even impresses Sasori that she could do this. And you just get these moments, basically a little flashback with Sakura, which is I think a really important one, of her training with Tsunade, and this whole idea of Sakura, for a medical ninja, offense always comes second. Why? And she basically gives the basic answer of, the role of the medic is to support the team, so you should focus more on doing that than fighting the enemy. And Tsunade says it's wrong, and gives the explanation that a medic ninja must never get hit by an enemy strike, therefore the priority must be evasion. And the whole idea of that, don't get hit, don't die, so you're always available to heal the members of your teammates. That's not the reason why you fight. And just this idea that Sakura hasn't just become strong and a medical ninja, she's also become very skilled at evasion, dodging, movement stuff. Again, just she's become this like amazing physical kunoichi. So it's really impressive stuff here. And after this, she eventually, after tons of dodging, she does get hit with some kind of poisoned sand, and she kind of collapses, but she kind of feigns it in a really cool moment from Sakura. She feigns it, and as he goes in for the kind of finishing blow up close, she gets up, destroys the third Kazakage puppet, revealing that she made the poison she made for Konkoro. She made a bunch of batches of that and brought some of it with her. She's used one on herself now and given the other one to Chiyo to use if anything happens. Obviously setting up something there, which is pretty interesting. But she does mention there's only 3 minutes left. It only kind of fends off the effect of the poison for 3 minutes. So there's that. And so basically we end off the volume with Sasori's basically his final form himself. He has turned his entire body into a puppet. Really cool to just see this, basically this body of this young kid kind of just in this kind of crazy puppet form, and that, as far as we're aware, the actual like living Sasori is that kind of circular seal-like thing in the kind of heart section. And we just end with the setup of like Sakura's got hit again by another attack, so she might be poisoned again, and Sasori's coming for Chiyo, and they might be overwhelmed here. And then on the other side of things, we get the setup that Kakashi is setting up that he has another Sharingan technique, and it's long range this time. So something big is coming on that side of the fight, and then of course the Chiyo fight is coming to an amazing conclusion. So overall, as I said, really fun volume. This fight is probably one of the best done ones in the entire series so far. I think a lot of the Chunin exam fights are quite good. The Naruto Sasuke fight from the end of part 1. But this, as like the first major fight in part 2, so well done. Like, most of this volume is a fight, and it's really well done. Whereas, remember back in the part 1 reviews, I complained actually a little bit about some of the fights from part 1, like the Sasuke retrieval arc. I complained about some of those fights, even though they basically took up a whole volume, because the pacing wasn't very good. But the pacing this time round is excellent, and you get character development from Sakura, from Chiyo, interaction with the sand, and kind of giving you some of the history of that, and then they're setting up some of the other fights to happen immediately after this one comes to an end. So really well done. So going to end the video there, but in the comments let me know what your thoughts are on this volume, your thoughts on my review of this volume, and then I'll just say links in the description to my Twitter, my Tumblr if you want to follow me on social media, and then if you want to help support my channel, there's a PayPal donation link, as well as a link to my Patreon page also in the description. But other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.